Good afternoon. Good to be here, and this is a very happy occasion. The county undertook this challenge to develop a medical mart and convention center a few years ago, and it was really done despite a lot of skepticism about whether or not we could really execute and succeed in a huge undertaking, something that had never really been done before in the country. And we were coming through, when I took office a couple of years ago, we were coming through a somewhat difficult period in local government. But we took that as that's a euphemism for you that aren't, those of you that aren't here, from here. But we took that as a real challenge. We believed that we could do it. The greater Cleveland area was really built by people that were entrepreneurs in all kinds of different areas, industry and medicine. And we wanted to try to recapture that. This project was one way that we felt that we could do that. I hope you've had an opportunity to learn a little bit. I know that the representatives from the Medical Mart and Convention Center have been here during your summit here, and hopefully they've had an opportunity to provide you some information. But we're very excited about this. As this whole area, really, this whole part of the country starts to redefine itself and reinvent itself. Let me give you some basic facts about it, and then it's my privilege to announce that we've made significant progress, and we're going to be announcing that right here in front of you. The Medical Mart and Convention Center is scheduled to open in July of 2013. It's a $465 million project, and we're particularly proud because our construction schedule is under budget significantly, and it is ahead of schedule by about 2 months, actually, which is unusual. It is going to be a LEED certified silver building. It's already utilized more than 12,000 tons of steel. It's one of the largest projects in the history of downtown Cleveland, and it's also happening, although our weather is not showing off the city in its best light in the last couple days. It's the latest in a number of projects, actually billions of dollars worth of projects that are happening in the greater Cleveland area. The Medical Mart itself, which is, the whole project is a combined convention center and also Medical Mart, but just the Medical Mart is about 235,000 square feet, which is about a quarter of the footprint of the entire project. There's about 100,000 square feet of state-of-the-art facility, which is themed in different ways on different floors. The first floor of the facility is going to follow a health and home theme. The second level spaces are going to center on the theme of people, patients, and caregivers. Clinical spaces are the theme of the third floor, and healthcare IT on the fourth floor. It's a very bold vision. There are a number of communities across the country that explored this. When we started this a few years ago, we weren't the only ones. We are the only ones that are bringing it to fruition and making it a reality. It's building on the strengths of this entire area. The greater Cleveland area, as you may know, was really built on basic manufacturing, oil, steel, building things that the rest of the world used. We have changed. About 80% of our employment used to be based in those industries. That's changed now. We're becoming an economy where now 80%, what it used to be 80% of our jobs being in manufacturing, now it's 80% everything else, and healthcare has been the biggest driver of that, the most dynamic part of our local economy. And so, to summarize, when it comes to the Medical Mart project, there are really, in Convention Center, there's really three main components that as stewards of the project we were concerned about. The first was to make sure that the construction was done on time and on budget, and that it was a first-class facility. And we're getting close to the finish line there, and as I said, we are hitting all of our benchmarks and exceeding them by being on time and ahead of time and on budget. The second part was really just the convention side of it in general, not specifically focused on the medical industry, but just the convention side of it just in general. And I can report to you immense progress in that area as well. There are 46 conventions already booked. And there were a lot of people that were skeptical that we were going to be able to do that. But we're talking about conventions that are booked out now 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead of time. The third part, and was really where the whole community was taking the biggest risk and being the most entrepreneurial, had to do with making this Medical Mart concept work itself. The idea had been floating around for a while, but whether or not a community was really going to get behind it and make it happen was an open question. And we have our share in Greater Cleveland of local skeptics, and they were quite skeptical about all three legs of this stool that I mentioned: the construction side of it, the convention side of it, and the Medical Mart side of it. And the Medical Mart portion of it was really, that was the toughest concept to I think, bring to reality. So that question was posed to us often and loudly, and it was an appropriate question. I'm happy to announce today that that question, more than at any other point in time of this project, is being answered, because the critical tenants that we needed to make the Medical Mart concept a success are committing to this project. The key local players are making their commitments, and also from across the country and across the world, they're making those commitments. And we're going to hear two announcements of major tenants to the Medical Mart facility, and it's my privilege to introduce them one at a time, and they're going to be describing to you what their commitment is going to be to the facility, and we're very excited to have them here today. The first gentleman that I want to introduce is Tom Gentile. I think you probably know him, if not personally, but by reputation. He has an outstanding record with as the CEO of GE Healthcare, but that's just his most recent accomplishment. He's been in that capacity for approximately 13 years. It's an incredibly diverse and vibrant division of GE. It's over a $7 billion platform. This is exactly, when we talked about the Medical Mart concept in the very early days, when we talked about the kind of partner that we wanted in the private sector, I don't know if we used Tom's name, but that's the kind of investment that we wanted. That's the kind of partner that we wanted to make this facility and this whole concept succeed and to really become a reality that's going to position the Cleveland area and the Medical Mart concept in particular as the preeminent location of its kind in this field to really drive innovation. So without any further ado, it's my great pleasure and relief to introduce to you Tom Gentile. Tom?
Well, thank you very much. It really is an honor and a privilege to be here to make this announcement today. And the announcement is that we are formally committing to the Medical Mart in Cleveland, and we will become a long-term tenant, and we're quite excited about it. What we are planning to do is to make this the center for our Connect strategy for disease pathways. And what I mean by that is GE Healthcare is a very large global company. We have a broad portfolio of equipment, hardware, of software tools, of wetware, including contrast agents and pathology, as well as services. And what we're doing in terms of disease pathways is looking at how we can connect all of those pieces of equipment and software and tools across the continuum of care for certain diseases. And those diseases that we'll start with are breast cancer, Alzheimer, and cardiology. And when I say the continuum of care for breast cancer, it's starting at the screening stage, then the diagnosis stage, the staging before therapy and pathology, the actual therapy, and then the monitoring. And we plan to have exhibits, permanent displays, that show all of our hardware like mammography or MR or CT that are involved in breast cancer treatment, as well as the diagnostic tools, the pathology and the lab work, some of the therapy, and some of the monitoring tools like PET-CT that are involved in breast cancer care. And we'll be looking at a patient, a hypothetical patient, might be somebody named Grace, who has a particular history with breast cancer, might have a particular type of tissue, has a particular type of disease. And her pathway through that continuum of care will be very personal based on her experience. And so what we want to use the displays for at the Medical Mart is to develop and grow our strategies that connect across this entire continuum of care. And we have teams from all over the world who are involved in each of these disease areas. We meet today on a regular basis, monthly. We bring in physicians and partners, academic institutions on a regular basis. We want to do those meetings here at the Medical Mart in the future. And so we're very excited about it. We think this will become our laboratory, our permanent displays for these Connect strategies across these different disease areas, and it will help us with our product development and long-term making a better impact. So why did we choose the Medical Mart? A lot of reasons. First of all, GE has a significant commitment to Cleveland and to Ohio. GE Healthcare has about 750 employees across Ohio, most of them based right here in Cleveland. We have a plant that makes radio frequency coils. We also have a plant that makes targets for X-ray tubes. And then in Ohio, in addition to healthcare, our lighting business is headquartered right here in Cleveland at Nela Park, and our aviation business is headquartered down in Cincinnati. GE has over 15,000 employees in Ohio, and also is accountable for about 50,000 if you include our suppliers. Over $11 billion of annual sales, much of that exported from the state. So we have a deep commitment to Cleveland, to Ohio. But also, as you just heard, the Medical Mart is going to be a $500 million infrastructure investment. It's going to be state-of-the-art communication facility, meeting rooms, conference room space, a convention center. This is a perfect place for us to put a center like this, which is going to see a lot of flow of traffic, and that will enable us to not only exhibit our capabilities, but also to get people to tap into to get their ideas. Next is we see this as an opportunity to be close to world-class institutions in Cleveland. One of the things that, when I became involved in the Medical Mart about 6 months ago, new leadership came on board. Jim Bennett joined the leadership team and started to articulate a strategic vision that was really compelling. And one of the opportunities was to have the geographic proximity to the world-class institutions like the Cleveland Clinic, like University Hospital, where we could show people what devices, what capabilities we had, and then if we needed to demonstrate clinically, we'd have access to these institutions nearby to be able to show people clinically how these things were being used in a clinical setting. And so that was very compelling. And then lastly, the network that's being developed. When I joined the advisory board of the Medical Mart and I looked around to see who else was on it, the world-class institutions, not only from the Cleveland area, but from around the country and around the world, the network in the healthcare community is going to be outstanding and will really foster innovation and technology development, which is exactly what we want. So we are very proud today to make the announcement that we're committing to the Medical Mart. It'll be a long-term laboratory for us, for our disease pathways, and we could not be more excited. So thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Martin Harris.
Thank you very much, Tom, for that excellent news. It is just as GE Healthcare was the type of national partner that we were seeking, it was also important for us to leverage our local partners, especially the Cleveland Clinic, because of the tremendous international presence that they have. So at this point, it's going to be my privilege to introduce Dr. Martin Harris. I want to tell you a little bit about him. If you didn't already know, he's the Chief Information Officer and Chairman of Information Technology Division of the Cleveland Clinic. He's also responsible for the strategic business planning for the Cleveland Clinic. He was appointed to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Health Information Technology Standards Committee, which is charged with making recommendations to the National Coordinator for Health Chief Information Officer. He's also been a past chairman of the board of the Healthcare Information Management System Society, HIMSS, and actually Steve Lieber, who's here, who's their current CEO, is visiting with us. We hope we get to make an announcement someday with him as well, but we're having nice conversations with them also. I do want to just follow up also before any more time elapses to thank Jim Bennett and his team because they made these conversations happen with both GE and also with the Cleveland Clinic. And we have an immense amount of gratitude to Dr. Cosgrove and his entire team, because when we first got into office, we had kind of charted that we hoped this is where we would head, but it wasn't certain that we would. And they have helped us navigate a healthcare field which is incredibly complex, which those of us in government do not necessarily have expertise in, and they helped us navigate that maze, and we're very appreciative of both their guidance and the commitment that they're making to the Medical Mart. And so without any further ado, to further elaborate on that, if you could welcome Dr. Martin Harris. Doctor?
Thank you. I know it's late, so my comments will be brief. But I just thought I would start with a personal reaction. Several weeks ago, I had the opportunity to put on a hard hat and walk through the Medical Mart facility and the convention center. And as I stood on the second floor of the Medical Mart and looked out, and they were literally putting up the glass curtain wall, as we stood there, I just realized that this is going to be an incredible venue for Cleveland. And my reaction was simply, wow. You stood there looking at the lake, looking at the green lawn, knowing that that massive convention center was sort of right there underneath and directly connected to the Medical Mart. And I couldn't think of another place, and certainly not in a city of this scale, that's going to have a venue like this. So I'm extremely proud to be connected with a city who's making this kind of investment in our future. On behalf of the Cleveland Clinic, what I'd like to say is that we also recognize that this initiative, both the Convention Center and the Medical Mart, is incredibly important to Northeast Ohio. And to that end, we have been investing a lot of time thinking about all of the activities that can occur there. You know that we are one of the largest physician group practices in the country, and for that matter, in the world. And we have had our leadership, the Institute leadership, the department program leadership, also take those tours. And as they've come back, one of the things I've heard consistently from them is that this is a great opportunity, an opportunity that we haven't been able to leverage, that as we go out to our academic societies and associations, to now start bringing those meetings here for two reasons. We have a beautiful convention facility, and second, we have in this Medical Mart a site for innovation in medicine. I think that will make us distinct in the nation and will allow us to bring our colleagues across all of the medical specialties here to Cleveland. For me, as I manage information technology, I think as you heard in the programming, the entire fourth floor by concept is going to be dedicated to bringing medical health information technology innovation to that space. And I can't wait to be part of bringing the program forward and bringing meetings that I'm associated with here to Cleveland. Finally, I would start with really the commitment that the Cleveland Clinic is making here today. And as you heard, there are 4 themes for the building. And so we have had a group that has been working and designing concepts that will go into that building. They're going to range from innovations concepts to patient experience concepts to real clinical care concepts. And our goal here today is that we are making the commitment to be amongst the first leasees in that facility. And it's my distinct hope that by this time next year, we will be seeing many of you in that facility as we host the innovations meeting on that site, and that we will actually be able to bring many of the concepts that I've just talked about alive. Thank you.
I know there's some members of the media that will be available for one-on-one questions. I just want to leave you with this thought that communities that are going to succeed in the 21st century are those that have the courage to invest in innovation and support it with a public and private partnership. When this started, there were a lot of people that didn't believe in any number of areas that we were going to be able to execute that. They didn't believe that county government would be able to reform its operations, and we did. They didn't believe we could bring the project in on time and on budget and ahead of schedule. We are. They weren't sure that we could succeed on the convention side of it. We are. And now we're also succeeding on the Medical Mart side of it. There's been a very loud chorus in this community of how we can't do things. That chorus is getting quieter and quieter and quieter, not because we're drowning them out with speeches, but because of reality. What you saw and heard here today is a very real step that shows that we are going to make this a reality and that this area is embracing innovation, especially in medical technology, as the future of this area. And I appreciate everybody in this. I know that you had the greatest attendance at the Innovation Summit, and I appreciate your support of innovation in general and in Cleveland in particular. Thank you very much.